All right, welcome back. This is Jeff from RV Knowledge Group. So standing by the instant hot water heater that we have, and what I'm going to go over today is winterizing. It's not even the end of August yet, but we're not going to use this rig again until Thanksgiving. I'd rather winterize it when it's warmer than on a 40 or 50 degree day with the wind blowing. It's not fun that way. So and it's not going to matter if it doesn't get down to freezing. I'm just going to blow it out today. I'm not going to add the antifreeze unless the temperatures before our trip say it's going to get down to freezing one night, and then I'll put antifreeze in there. So one of the first things I do with winterizing is we come over and I put my little, just screw my little air inlet valve into my city water connection so that I can hook my compressor hose up to that and blow it out. And then I'm going to show you another thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is blow out the water tank. And if you release this valve, you pull it down. I actually had to use a piece of PVC to help pull it down. It was so tight, but you pull that valve down and water's going to start spitting out of the hose there. So that's relieving. That's first of all your pressure relief. If pressure gets too high in your water heater, that's going to come out and blow water out of here. But that's also how we're going to winterize it, because when we pull that, it's going to allow the air to come out here and push the water out with it. You'll see it spitting out. That's going to be the first thing I do. But we're going to come around over to the compressor, because I'm going to show you something here. All right, so I've got my compressor set up. Let's see. So it's just a standard compressor. But if you know, well, I'll show you the regulated pressure. All right, so this is your regulated pressure. This is your tank pressure. Tank pressure is always going to be pretty high, but your regulated pressure, you want that to be around 30 to 40 psi. Now, here's the thing. Here's my nozzle that I use. When I use the nozzle, let's get a good shot of everything here. It's hard to see when I'm not really looking at it. You're going to see that tank pressure, the regulator pressure, I'm going to say, it's going to fluctuate. Okay, so you need to make sure that while you're blowing air out of here, that regulated pressure is staying around 30 to 40 psi and is not going down to 10 or 20, because it doesn't really matter what it reads right now. It's what it reads when you're actually putting air in it. So all right, so we're going to go around to the other side with our hose, and this is, just a standard, like a blow nozzle that you would use to clean off your driveway. And it's got the tip on it is the kind that would insert into onto a tire valve thread to fill up your tires if you wanted to do it that way. So we're going to take this around, and what you want to do, you want to make sure that everything in your rig is off. All the water is off. The water pump's not on, because you want to blow these out one at a time. So if the sink's open, it's going to come out the sink and the water heater, and it's not going to do a great job. I don't want that. So when you're by yourself, now they make these, by the way, that will hook onto here and just stay and constantly blow air. And you can go in there and just open one valve at a time. And listen, I don't have that. I don't want to buy it. I got two kids, one's just turned 18, going into the Coast Guard. I'm going to buy stuff for him. And my other daughter, just graduated college. I have a lot of bills, so I don't want to spend money that I don't have to spend. If I don't already have a tool, I try to just make do. So I'm making do. I have this. I go in the camper. I open a valve. I come back out. I blow air in it. I go back in. I turn the valve from like cold to hot. If it was on cold, I change it to hot. I come out. I blow it. And I just do that. It takes some time. If you're by yourself, this is sometimes the way you have to do it. You just need 20, 30 minutes. That's all to get everything done. I will tell you, you will not winterize a washing machine this way. I learned the hard way one year. First of all, air's not going to do anything for the washing machine. There's some directions on the washing machines that say that you put your antifreeze in the tub and run it, and it'll run it through the pump. Yeah, it'll run it through the pump. And you think your machine's winterized. However, on the back of the machine, there's something called a mixing valve, where the hot and cold water come in, and the machine regulates how much of each go into the machine depending on the temperature you've selected. Well, one year I had a nice Splendide, almost $1,000 washer. put antifreeze in the tub. Hey, I'm all good, right? Next year I come out, I'm like, something's not right. The tank, it's all leaking. So I pull the machine and find out that the mixing valve had cracked over the winter, because if you don't run water or antifreeze through your water pump and run your washing machine for like a minute or two, the sun's right there. Run your washing machine for a minute or two, you're not going to get the antifreeze into that mixing valve. And then you're screwed. When it gets down to freezing, that mixing valve's probably going to crack. And it cost me $100. I repaired it myself. But if you didn't have the ability to repair it yourself, you're talking $300-400 probably for a repair, because they're going to charge you $200 for the $100 part, and then probably at least $200 in labor. So for a washing machine, this does not work. This only works for your sinks, your toilet, your outside shower, and your hot water heater. So I'm going to hopefully allow you to see the water spurting out of the hot water heater as I do this. There you go. So like I said, we're running about 30 to 40 PSI. And you just run it. You hear the compressor kicking on. You just run it until most of the water stops spurting out. And then you're good. You've blown that line out. Now when you go to do this with antifreeze, I just pull that little pressure release valve a little bit to make sure that antifreeze is coming out. Just a touch, and then I'm good. So I like to just run it, get as much water as I can out. I mean, water expands when it freezes, so if you have a little bit left in there, in a pipe somewhere, and it expands, it could crack your pipe. So I'm just wasting air, not really a big deal. I always find that the hot water heater takes longer. All right, however, you get the idea. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do for the next couple minutes. I'm just going to finish up the hot water heater here. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to open the valves individually, come back out, blow them out. And like I said, it'll take me about 20 minutes. And this, you can winterize this way. If you don't have a washer dryer, you don't need to really use antifreeze. I use it just as a precaution, pour some down my drains and all that. So that any water left in your drains, your P-traps and all that, are covered, or people, S-traps, whatever they have now. They've got all sorts of crazy new things from 20, 30 years ago. But just put some antifreeze down your drain so that water in there doesn't freeze. And that's it. Winterizing, maybe an hour max. And people are always like, well, it's pretty expensive to winterize. Yeah, if it takes me an hour to do it by myself with all my supplies, and I got to drag my compressor along, I'm probably going to charge you, $275, $300 to winterize. And am I going to do it right? You know that it was done right, especially if you have a washer. Did the guy run the antifreeze through the lines properly, and did he winterize your washer? Because they can write anything they want on paper. You're the one who ends up getting screwed in the end and having to, possibly buy a new washer. If the pump and the mixing valve broke, that's probably garbage. It's not worth fixing unless you can do it yourself. But yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories about people who had somebody do it for them, and they didn't do it well because they don't care. For most people, a lot of guys who say they're going to winterize, you're just money. Even when you take it to a dealership, sometimes it's not done right. So if you do it yourself, you only have yourself to blame if you didn't do something right. So, all right, don't forget, RV Knowledge Group. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video. All right, one more tip. When you do your shower, if you have one of these little, holes that your hose goes through, feed your shower head as far down to the bottom as you can, so there's less line for that air to blow the water through. So just a couple of little things you always got to think about. And by the way, when I did the toilet, I put something heavy on top of the flush valve with a towel on top of it and just held it down, and that's how I did it. Hey, it's Jeff again, and one more thing I forgot to mention: your low point drains. Do not forget to hit your low point drains. Mine, they're easy. They're in a compartment under my slide. My old Coachman motorhome, they were behind a bathroom sink, behind a panel. I had to, it was almost impossible to get to them. I hated winterizing that unit for that reason. Some of these manufacturers don't really think about how easy it is for you. It's what's easy for them. So all you got to do for these is just open them up, and we'll get a little splurt of water coming out. And that's pretty much it. But make sure you hit your low point drains when you're winterizing also.